It's time, Fort Wayne. Your sports, your station. It's the Sports Rush with Brett Rump. Covering all the topics that hit a nerve here in the Summit City.
Clark goes 11 yards, touchdown.
Only on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Now here's your host, Brett Rump.
The greatest, most interesting, most important person of all time.
You are incredible! Older than boys. Yeah, well, you're half right.
What is this, amateur hour?
This is going to be huge.
I believe this is going to be our final sound.
Just when I think you said the stupidest thing ever, you keep talking.
I think that's the worst thing I've ever heard.
That boy ain't right.
The simplest way to put it, I have problems.
Welcome to the alleged show.
Time to get over the hump. It is a Wednesday edition of the Sports Rush, your daily local sports fix, 4 to 6. I am Brett Rump, along with Adam Lundy. We've got you connected on the Parkview Sports Medicine text line at 260-447-8500. We have cleared out the studio, and we lost a light. We're going to be sitting here in the dark by the time we finally get moved into our new studios.
Hey, it looked good while our guest was here.
Yeah, at least for the video and everything, we're fully lit because it's like the weather. I mean, I felt kind of gloomy all day today just because of the cloudy skies, the rain. It was kind of foggy. And it's like that in the studio now. It's like following me around. What's that character on Peanuts? I'm that guy. That's got the cloud always following him.
Pigpen.
Yeah, that's it. I think his cloud is dirt. Mine's just rain and gloom. I couldn't even get good cards when Ben was opening cards. Man. Anyway, I think I got the football side, though. I got a little bit of revenge.
I got the baseball, though.
You
man.
Smoked on baseball.
I sure did.
260-447-8500. We had a text that came in about Purdue basketball and about them being tired. Someone asking if college basketball now needs load management. No, college basketball schedule's not that bad, but you're also dealing with 20, 21-year-olds, and the season is a little bit of a grind. You know, you've got classes mixed in with travel, with practices, with games every third day for most of the season, maybe every fourth day. And at some point after you've done that, where you've had practices for like 5 months and then you have a season that lasts 4 months, at some point it just kind of wears down the body. And I think we've seen that with Purdue, and I think specifically with Braden Smith. And you know, I think Trey Kaufman-Wren as well has had some fatigue, but that's because he's not used to playing the minutes he's playing this year, and because he's playing exclusively the 5. So he's going up and banging against bigger bodies than when he would have been playing the 4 with Zach Edey out on the floor. So, you know, it's just sometimes it just wears you down. And I think we're seeing a lot of college basketball teams that have looked a little worn down lately. But Indiana had a nice bounce in their step on Sunday because they were all well rested. And that's probably one reason why they were able to go with pretty much the same lineup the entire second half. And for Purdue, I think they're still on their tired legs, and I think we saw a lot of the difference. You make the tired mistakes where you don't handle the ball as cleanly. You get beat on the first step on the drive. Just a lot of little factors that fatigue shows itself. Your 3-point percentage starts dropping, and so no, I don't think we need load management at the college level.
No, you just kind of have to take the lumps and bruises with the schedules and take the breaks in the schedules when you can.
It is a must-win tonight for the Indiana Hoosiers if they want to take advantage of the wins over Michigan State and Purdue. They don't want to give one back and lose to Penn State. Penn State right now sitting outside the top 15 of the Big Ten. That means they would not be part of the Big Ten tournament as it stands right now, but they're only a game out. And that's what concerns me about tonight for the Indiana Hoosiers, because they've been inconsistent this year. And if they have a down game, it's going to be a very hungry, very determined Penn State team that takes the court tonight. They're desperate. That's the best way to put it. They're desperate to come in and get a win. You get a road win. You get extra benefits for that. It gives you a higher net ranking by winning a road game. And so Penn State's got a lot that they could play for tonight. If Indiana thinks, well, they're riding high because they got that impressive win against Purdue, They're going to be shocked by the time the night is over.
Yeah, and it's one of those situations where I think it is up to the head coach, Mike Woodson, to have his team ready for a game like tonight. It's one of those ones where you do have to be ready and don't think that you're better than the competition.
And that's another thing that concerns me is it's up to Mike Woodson to have this team ready because he's not exactly shown a track record of having his team ready to play every game. I think in some cases, and I think tonight's one of those cases, I think it's up to that senior group to kind of step up and hold everybody accountable. Make sure that every single player that's putting on that uniform, that they are 100% focused to go out and play Penn State as if Penn State is wearing Purdue uniforms. And we'll see what happens. Of course, the game's going to be broadcast on our sister station, WOWO 92.3 FM, exclusively on the FM dial, 92.3 FM, WOWO Radio, for the Indiana Hoosiers and the Penn State Nittany Lions. Got this from Ryan, our buddy up in LaGrange.
What's up, Ryan?
Ian Rappaport is reporting that the Packers have had trade conversations centered around star corner Jair Alexander.
Yeah, I saw that too. He sent that in.
They're open to moving him for the right price. Let's go, Chris.
Call him up.
Ballard, get on it.
Because we know he loves to do that.
Well, he's got to be a little different this year.
We'll see.
He's got to change his stripes.
Well, speaking of Ballard, we got a text earlier in the show. They said Colts will be stuck in mediocrity until Ballard is no longer the guy calling the shots.
Well, this is one of the opportunities to swing for the fences. Alexander's a two-time Pro Bowler, 28 years old.
Yeah.
If he's available, you've got to make every effort to go get him.
I agree. That'd be a fantastic thing. I mean, we've seen how much the Colts have struggled at the cornerback position.
There's not too many players that I would consider off limits on this roster.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
I think you've got a lot of good players. I don't know that you've got the indispensable player. I'm trying to think. I mean, I would even consider Jonathan Taylor. Michael Pittman, I think, is a valuable player, and they probably shouldn't part with Michael Pittman, and I don't think they would need to.
But is he a must-have?
And DeForest Buckner, I don't think you should give him up.
No.
But other than that, I'm not sure there's not a player that I would be devastated to see leave the Colts if the Colts get Alexander in return.
Yeah, I have to agree. That'd be a really good addition.
That's very interesting news. Keep an eye on that. Of course, those talks are going to be taking place during the NFL Combine, which is happening right now down in Indianapolis.
Yep, everybody getting to look at those draft prospects.
And tomorrow we'll get an update on what's happening with the NFL Combine because Ken Sterling is going to join the show coming up tomorrow. Coming up in just minutes, Dylan Sinn to talk more Indiana basketball and Purdue basketball. Hoosiers tonight against Penn State. Boilermakers' next action comes up Friday at Mackey Arena against Mick Cronin's UCLA Bruins.
Potential former IU next Hoosier coach, Mick Cronin. Maybe
He's
not.
on the list.
He is on the list. We got another text at 260-447-8500. They said, love the show. Thank you. Do you guys think UConn can three-peat? No.
No, I watch college basketball right now, and I just don't think UConn's at the level where they can run a stretch of 6 straight against good teams.
I don't either.
I think right now St. John's might be one of the best teams in the country. Duke is playing at an unbelievable level.
Yeah.
Houston, because they do the stuff you need to win in the postseason, and that is defend and get guard play. I don't
see it.
I don't see UConn being able to get past any of those teams.
No, and right now they're not even ranked in the AP Top 25 or the coaches poll, and they're currently in bracketology sitting as a 9th seed. So I don't see it.
They'd even have a hard bracket at a 9.
Yep.
Yeah. 260-447-8500, 260-447-8500. Mastodons begin their final week of the regular season, and we know nothing more than we did when the season started. As far as who's the best, who's going to be seated where, this is crazy.
Yeah.
You go into your final two games, and you could come out the other side anywhere from 2nd to 6th in an 11-team league.
Crazy. I mean,
shouldn't be that way. I mean, you should.
No.
You would think going into the final weekend of games that you would maybe have a 2 or 3 seed range of where you're going to end up. But here's how big it is. They've got to win tomorrow night against Northern Kentucky. That's almost the Mastodons must win if they want to get that first round bye. Then they go to Cleveland, and if they get the win tomorrow night, they know they've got a first round bye. They can lay it all on the line against Cleveland State. But a win against Cleveland State on the road would give the Dons the number 2 seed. Like if the Dons go 2-0, it's most likely, overwhelming by percentage, that the Mastodons would end up at the number 2 seed. But if they win tomorrow night and then go to Cleveland State and lose, the percentages tell us the Mastodons are overwhelmingly going to end up in that dreaded 5th spot.
Yeah, you've been worried about that one.
Well, I just feel like, if you're the 6, you're going to play a home game on Tuesday, so you get a game under your belt. You've played through the pressure of the postseason through a tournament game. You play the last place team. You play Green Bay, and we know how Green Bay has struggled. And so is 6 better than 5? Because 5 in the quarterfinal after a bye would have to go to the number 4 seed. And then if the top seeds win out in the quarterfinals, they'd have to play the number 1 seed in the semifinal. So I 6-1, half dozen of the other, and it's going to be whatever it's going to be. I can't control it, so I shouldn't worry too much about it. But the Mastodons 2-0, 2nd seed, 1-1 with a win tomorrow night against Northern Kentucky at home, and they're likely a 5th seed.
Well, it starts tomorrow night.
Yep. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back on the other side, we're going to talk to Dylan Sinn from the Journal Gazette. He covers, of course, college basketball with the Purdue Boilermakers and the Indiana Hoosiers, and we'll get caught up on the storyline surrounding both when we return. It's a Wednesday edition, Hump Day, of the Sports Rush on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Welcome back to the Sports Rush, your daily local sports fix, 4 to 6. Brett Rump with Adam Lundy, and of course, you're always connected on the Parkview Sports Medicine text line at 260-447-8500, 260-447-8500. Time to talk some college hoops as the season winds down. Plenty of storylines surrounding Purdue and Indiana. And to fill us in and maybe cross some T's, dot some I's, fill in some blanks, it is Dylan Sinn from the Journal Gazette. Dylan, good afternoon. I imagine, are you en route to Bloomington for another exciting IU home game?
No, I'm actually staying here in Fort Wayne today, but I will be covering the game from TV tonight. So there will be a story on Indiana in the paper tomorrow.
I tried to set that up so beautifully. I should have done my homework and asked before we started putting you on the spot on the air. But, hey, I'll tell you what. You were there for Purdue, Indiana, right?
I absolutely was. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure because I thought you were there. I assumed you were there. That was a good performance. In fact, maybe the best performance and a half that we've seen from Indiana all year long. And a little wrinkle of how they got it done with the personnel that they played in that second half.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where they played the one big lineup with Umar Ballo and Malik Renew switching off just basically whenever they got tired. And then it was 4 guards and wings. Miles Rice, Trey Galloway, Anthony Leo, Luke Goody. All 4 of those guys played the entire half and did not come out. Mike Woodson said after the game he was going to ride with his seniors, ride with his Indiana guys, and that worked for him. Now, can you do that for entire games? I don't think so. These guys need to rest at some point. You're going to need the guys on your bench. You're going to need Mackenzie Mbako to be a factor. But for that game, I thought it was a really inspired choice to just kind of slim down the rotation to as little as possible and see what happened, and it worked.
Yeah, because Mike Woods has been saying for a long time that he was looking for answers, that they had to find the answers, they had to get through this and work it out. Maybe now, with 4 games left, he's finally found an answer.
It does kind of seem like that, and it's one of those things where it's not what we expected, right? It's like Mackenzie Mbako only playing 9 minutes in that game is not what anyone expected. in a game of that magnitude and in a game that IU won. So it's one of those things where it's taken an entire season, and it seems like they're still kind of up in the air. But if Miles Rice is going to play on-ball defense the way he did against Purdue, you can't take him off the floor. And then Anthony Leal and Trey Galloway are very, very good players. Luke Goody's your shooter. That's the rotation there. So it's one of those things where if that can continue, you have some answers. But it's a question of whether they can continue it tonight against Penn State.
Yeah, that's the game coming up next for the Hoosiers tonight at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. And I guess we'll go ahead and talk a little of this Penn State game since you brought it up, because Penn State, it's a team I got a chance to see earlier this year, so I'm pretty familiar with their roster, their makeup, and there's certainly some holes with Penn State. One, I know the leading scorer is the big inside, but I don't think that's where they really get most of their work done. I think it starts with guys like Ace Baldwin and Zach Hicks, those guys, Nick Kern, that's where the offense kind of runs through. But when you look at Indiana matching up against Penn State, what are some of the concerns for the Hoosiers?
Yeah, I think number one is going to be avoiding turnovers. Penn State loves to turn the ball over, turn the other team over, and get out in transition. That's kind of Ace Baldwin's whole thing. You talked about him. Part of the reason he's so valuable is because he's really good defensively. He creates a lot of steals, and that creates opportunities for Penn State to get out and run. And he's good in the open floor directing traffic. So Indiana, especially Miles Rice and Trey Galloway, are going to have to do a really good job of taking care of the ball. And then Indiana's going to have to be tough inside. Penn State kind of plays like Indiana. They don't take a ton of threes. They're really efficient on the interior. So it's one of those things where you're going to need to see Umar Ballo and Malik Renew. You're going to need to see them play really strong inside and avoid fouling. That's been obviously an issue for Malik Renew, especially over the last couple of years and even in the last couple of weeks. So be strong, don't foul, and take care of the ball. And Indiana is the more talented team in this game, and if they do those things, they should win, but you have to be solid.
You know, it's always interesting when you get to this point in the season, because sometimes the team that has the worst record is the one that's willing to play harder because they're playing out of desperation. And I feel that way about Penn State. They're desperate. The way the Big Ten set up the Big Ten tournament, 15 get in, 3 get left out, and right now Penn State's on the outside looking in, but they're only a game away from being one of those top 15 teams. I think that's what Indiana has to be most concerned of, that they match the energy that I think Penn State's going to bring to this game.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And I think that one good thing for Indiana is that they played with that kind of energy on Sunday, I should say, against Purdue. They know what they need to do, the type of energy they need to bring in order to win. Now you have to do it against someone that isn't a top 25 team in your own house, in front of a crazy environment that's your rival, right? Can you do it against a team that is lower in the standings than you, that on paper you should beat? Can you bring that same kind of energy and play with that same kind of intensity? Because that's what they're going to need to do down the stretch of the season if they're going to make a surprise run into the NCAA tournament. You're going to need to beat some teams here, Penn State, Washington, even Ohio State at home, that on paper maybe you should beat, but you need to play the way you did against Purdue. And I'm looking closely to see if Indiana has that in them tonight.
All right, Dylan, I'm going to ask you to put on a reporter's hat, maybe even, light up the stogie so you can answer this question for me. Dusty May, it was reported by Michigan that he's agreed to a contract extension. Michigan put that word out. I'm just wondering, is it rock solid? Is it ironclad? What's another analogy I can use here? Because I still wonder, does this totally take him off the board? Does it mean he's not interested? Because I don't know if Dusty's responded to this. Has Dusty put out a statement at all?
I haven't seen one. Here's what I'll say about that. It's like, would it be impossible for Indiana to hire Dusty May right now? The answer is no, right? Like, they could still do it. But the thing is, because Dusty May signed the extension,
did he sign it? Did he sign it? Or did he agree to it?
Michigan says he did. Michigan says, I don't think Michigan puts out because they put out a statement to their alumni, to their the social media saying, hey, we have an extension with our coach. I think it would be pretty disingenuous for them to put one out, for them to put out a statement without having a signature on the page, right? That's usually not how
Dylan, let me play devil's advocate with you.
Sure.
Okay. if Dusty May said to them, yes, I want to stay, those terms are good to me, Michigan could put this out to tell Indiana, pull back. We got him. He's staying here. Even if he doesn't sign it, I'm just saying. It could be some gamesmanship. I'm just asking.
It's true, but
I want him on the top of my board, Dylan. I still want him on my board.
I totally get it, but what I would say is if you're Michigan, that's a really dangerous game to play because you risk alienating a coach that really seems to enjoy being in Ann Arbor right now. So I find it hard to believe they would play that kind of game with Dusty because you're not playing it just with Indiana. You're playing a game with Dusty, too, in that case. So I would be shocked if that was what happened. My guess is that here's what I will say. I don't think we have heard the end of Dusty May, Indiana basketball coaching candidate. I think that it might be a Jeff Brom situation at Louisville where they asked him once and it was too soon into a tenure and he said no. And then they waited 4 or 5 years and they asked him again and he was like, yes, time. My guess is that Dusty May eventually will be Indiana's basketball coach. Probably not this cycle. That is where I cut down on.
All right, I got to figure out who's my next top candidate now because Dylan's convinced me to take Dusty May off the top of my board. All right. I'll buy your story because you make sense. You make sense. I'm trying to play one side of it, but I'm a little irrational in my thinking because Dusty May was the guy I picked to be the next Indiana coach.
Of course.
All right, let's talk about Purdue because there's problems in West Lafayette. I think a lot of it is fatigue. I want to see Purdue when they've had a chance to get some rest. We will see that on Friday. What you're seeing, because I think especially Braden Smith, he's just completely gassed. I mean, he's making turnovers that are just sloppy play that aren't like him, and I think that happens when a guy gets fatigued. He's not going to say he's tired, but he is going to be fatigued, and there's a little bit of a difference there. I think Purdue will be okay once they get a little rest. I think the schedule's kind of eaten them up lately. They've played a lot of really tough competition. What do you think about the Boilermakers and their current situation with a 4-game losing streak?
Yeah, I think you're right about Braden Smith. He does seem a little bit tired to me. I think you could say the same about Trey Kaufman-Renn. To a certain extent, those guys play such physical styles of basketball, and it wears on you after a little while. So I'm interested to see what happens. They are going to have 4 full days off, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, before they play UCLA on Friday at Mackey Arena. That's a good team coming into Mackey, and it's maybe the biggest game of Purdue's season so far because you need to show in this game that you have taken some steps to fix some of the issues they have. And it's the turnovers, it's the letting guys beat you off the dribble so they get into the paint, and it's one of those things that they just need to be a little bit tougher. And I think that's what Matt Painter said after the game against Indiana was there's a lack of concentration going on with this team right now, and they need to be a little bit better at their finer details. Now, you talked about being a little bit fatigued. That's when a lack of concentration comes in. So I think that fits, and I think we'll see a better Purdue team on Friday.
Yeah, and you could argue maybe they've even had like 5 days off because they had a short road trip after an afternoon game in Bloomington, a short return trip home, and then you don't travel on Thursday because you've got a Friday home game. So that saves you, to me, an extra night in your own bed. You don't have to worry about the, couple of hours or, in UCLA's case, 3 hours of travel to get from the West Coast into the Midwest. I think there's huge advantages. What else for Purdue? What are some of the keys against UCLA?
Yeah, I think it's getting back to what worked for most of the season, which was Braden Smith and Trey Kaufman-Renn in the pick and roll, getting the ball to Kaufman-Renn in the paint, and letting him create. I think that's what was missing, especially in that second half against Indiana, was Indiana really took away Kaufman-Renn in the middle. They did a really good job of loading up to stop him from getting the ball in the paint. I think Purdue needs to find some creative ways to get that to work again because that pocket pass from Braden to Trey Kaufman-Renn was like their bread and butter the entire season. And Indiana, quite frankly, took it away in that second half. Really good job defensively. So you'll probably try to see UCLA do some of the same things. Can Purdue adjust to that now and avoid turnovers? And I think that's going to be the key to the game.
Dylan, always appreciate you jumping on. Thanks so much for the time. We look forward to talking to you again soon.
Absolutely, Brett. Thanks for having me on.
Dylan Sinn, a man wearing many hats, including Comets coverage for the Journal Gazette now. He joins us just ahead of Indiana, taking on Penn State tonight at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. And then Purdue will take on UCLA at Mackey Arena on Friday. Dylan Sinn, always with his finger on the pulse of college basketball. We love that. We'll take a break. We're going to come back. Plenty more. We'll talk about the high school girls basketball state championships. I've done some homework on Greensburg, and I'll tell you some of the things that Norwell's going to have to be concerned about when we come back. This is the Sports Rush on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Official announcement came down today that Back 9 Golf and Entertainment is coming to Fort Wayne. Did you hear about this, Adam?
I did.
I know a lot of people are excited about this because this is like Top Golf. It's pretty much one of the two top names for that type of facility. Back 9 Golf and Entertainment is going to be coming to the area near North Clinton Street, I-469, and Brooks Road. You know the Pizza Hut that we go to?
Yeah.
Out on East DuPont?
I do.
Real close to that area.
Oh, fantastic.
And it's a Back 9. Let's see. Back 9 is economic development officials joined the Northeast Indiana Regional Partnership and announced the project going to bring significant investment, job creation, and tourism to our area. But it will be a place for families to go out and enjoy an evening together.
Yeah, these are really fun. They're kind of, like you said, they're similar to Top Golf, and if you've ever played that, it's very similar, and it's nice because, not everybody's a professional golfer. I mean, most people aren't even hobby golfers, but it's just fun to get out there and hit some balls at a driving range, so a lot of fun coming. It's
going to be part of the Villages of Arneo, which is being developed out there on that property.
All right.
It's near where Mayhew, Clinton, and DuPont Road all kind of come together.
Very cool.
So, yeah, it'll be a big news. The Back 9 Golf and Entertainment Center.
I'll have to get out there when it's open, test out our golf swings.
Yeah, I was trying to see if they have put exactly what the projected opening is going to be. I was trying to scan through the announcement.
Yeah, I didn't see anything as like summer of 2026 is the tentatively scheduled opening.
Okay, there you go. 260-447-8500. 260-447-8500, the Parkview Sports Medicine text line. You can always connect with us via text, 260-447-8500. Of course, in our last hour, you had a chance to hear from Ben Smith from Midwest Box Breaks. He got some cards that he opened up, and Adam was checking the value. Right now, he's up to a large pizza, hoping to get to an extra large by the time he gets to the bottom of that pack, but
we'll see.
You got some $5, $9, $10. That Joe Montana card turned out to be one of the prizes of the pack.
Yeah, and, I don't know how good I am at finding out the value exactly of all these cards yet, but I think we're at least over $10, $15.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah, we're getting there. We're getting into pizza territory.
I said you got yourself a large pizza worth out right there. So congratulations. Ben Smith just bought you dinner.
Thank you, Ben.
But Ben was fun to have in the studio. And also Dylan Sinn, who joined us earlier. Now, if you miss any part of the show, you can always catch up. You can go to our podcast page or go wherever you listen to podcasts and find our podcast page because we're on all the popular platforms. You just search for The Sports Rush with Brett Rump. And make sure when you're there, you follow, subscribe, whatever you've got to do to know when we are going to be posting new content. And, of course, we post the show each and every day by hour. So you can always go to your favorite parts. That's The Sports Rush with Brett Rump. Be sure to check out the podcast today.
Like you said, we're everywhere you get podcasts. A couple texts that just came in, 260-447-8500. Somebody said, it's about time they woke up and realized how much money leaves the city without something like this, referring to the Back 9 golf facility that's coming to Fort Wayne. They said, good job, Fort Wayne. Somebody else said, any chance Fort Wayne could ever get another minor league basketball team?
I guess it would depend on the league.
That's what I was going to say. It really depends on finding a league that would be able to field a team because we know the NBA G League is kind of just, they're already down there in Indianapolis now, and I don't expect them to come back.
Yeah,
so.
I mean,
that's the format in G League.
The footprint of the G League is now that every team is going to be owned by a parent club in the NBA.
And likely close by in a suburb of the major city that the team is in.
Yeah, unless that team says they're going to keep them in Fort Wayne and then changes their mind.
Yeah, that'd be awful if somebody did that.
If anybody ever did that, yeah, it would be so bad for that city and community that loses their G League squad.
Yeah, they'd be kind of forever have a bad taste in their mouth.
All of a sudden driving to town and tell the staff and the fans that pack your things, we're moving to Noblesville. But,
no one would do that. But
all hypothetical, of course. But,
so I don't know about there'd have to be another league that'd have to be coming in here.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's going to be another league that competes with the G League that would be worth bringing them to Fort Wayne.
I don't know.
And the other thing, too, where will they play?
Yeah, Coliseum, you require kind of a really large attendance unless you want that thing to look a little bit barren.
That's another reason why I said if you're interested in that even being a possibility, build the arena. They will come. There will be reasons to fill it, whether it's volleyball tournaments, high school volleyball, basketball AAU events. You can have some of your showcase games that would be played there. You can have high school basketball regionals, and you won't have to go all over the state to go watch 2 Fort Wayne teams play. That's the thing that really ticks me off about this year, is in the boys regional, you're going to have, based on the draw, you're going to have the 2 Fort Wayne sectionals, one that's played, where is it, Carroll? Is it at Carroll and at Wayne? Is that where the 2 places are going to be playing?
I do believe so.
I'm trying to find it here. I don't see that. I got it right in front of me. But the two Fort Wayne sectionals in Class 4A, they drew each other in the regional.
Right, and it is Carroll and Wayne, can confirm.
And those 2 schools will have to go an hour and a half to go play to determine who goes on to semi-state. Because we don't have a site anywhere within an hour and a half of Fort Wayne. Logansport's going to be the closest regional site. Some may think that Elkhart is closer to Fort Wayne than Logansport, but Elkhart is a semi-state site. And it just depends what side of town you're on. I mean, the Carroll side, they probably feel like Elkhart is a little closer than Logansport, and it probably is. And the Homestead side or south side of Fort Wayne probably feels Logansport is closer, and it probably is. But we just don't have a place in Fort Wayne to be able to host this event. And that's why I think, this whole announcement about the field house and everything, do we really need that? We've got all these other facilities with all these basketball courts. Do we really need more basketball courts? What was the study done to determine whether or not we needed more courts or more space? But what we really need, if the city wants to get behind something, is get behind an arena of like 5,000 people. That's all it needs. You can pack it up for a semi-state. You can pack it up for a regional. You could, we had 5,000, maybe 5,000 plus at Huntington North for Norwell, Columbia City. That worked out great because both schools only had about a 20, 25-minute drive to get to their semi-state. And what was the result of that? Getting it convenient from a geographic standpoint was you pack the place. You know who makes the ticket prices on that, who gets all that revenue? It's the IHSAA. So I'm calling on them to figure it out, to get something better that is more fan-friendly than what they've currently got. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I agree. Would be nice to have a facility for some stuff like that downtown.
260-447-8500, the Parkview Sports Medicine text line. So coming up on Saturday, it's the high school girls basketball state championships at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, and Greensburg is tough. They are 27-0 for a reason. They've got 3 scorers that all score 15 points per game or more, and it's very balanced. They've got Claire Larson, who is averaging 16 points per game. She's hit 25 of 52 threes, almost 50%. She's a 5'10 forward. You've got Miley Wilkeson, a 5'7 point guard that scores 16 points per game, hits over 37% of her three-pointers. And Leah West is a 6'1 center, and that might cause problems for Norwell. They've got their biggest player coming off the bench, but West, a 6'1 center that puts up 15 points per game. Greensburg, defensively, they average 13 steals a game, and yet they only commit like 10.7 turnovers a contest. So they actually create more steals, not turnovers. They create more steals than they turn the ball over for the entire game. And that gives you those extra possessions. It gives you transition opportunities. So Norwell's got to take care of the basketball. A lot of pressure on Vanessa Rossworm. We saw her a little loosey-goosey with the dribble as the point guard. Because remember, Norwell didn't come into the season with a true bona fide point guard. And so Vanessa Rossworm made the move to point guard. She's going to have to take care of the ball. Norwell as a whole is going to have to be very careful with the basketball because you can't give Greensburg that many transition opportunities, and that's what they're going to be looking for on Saturday. We've got coverage of Greensburg and Norwell right here at 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM starting at 6 o'clock this Saturday. We'll take a time out. We're going to go back, wrap it up next. It's the Sports Rush on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Coming up this Friday, Skywatchers will have like their Christmas. Did you hear about this, Adam? 7 planets are going to appear in the sky at once.
Yeah, I didn't hear about this till you told me today.
Yeah, 7 planets appearing in the western sky shortly after sunset. You'll be able to see Mars, Jupiter, Uranus, and I'm pronouncing it that way even if it's wrong because I don't want to get in trouble. Venus, Neptune, Mercury, and Saturn, all visible from Earth. So it's really like you'll be able to see 8 planets, because if you just look down a little bit or see the horizon,
okay,
you can count that as the 8th planet. But that'll be, they said it's only going to happen for a couple of nights, 2 or 3 nights.
Break out the telescope.
It's Friday night, and it won't happen again for like another decade.
All right.
So there you go.
Keep your eyes on the sky.
Although you do need binoculars or a telescope to be able to see Neptune and Uranus.
Well, I'm screwed.
Don't have one?
No.
It's like watching the eclipse.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was kind of dangerous,
you have to have
too.
that special box with the hole and all that.
We did not do that.
Yeah. I know. That's why you can't see what you're doing over there. All right. Big thanks to our guest, Ben Smith from Midwest Box Breaks, also Dylan Sinn from the Journal Gazette. We will be back with Kent Sterling tomorrow, 4 to 6 for the Sports Rush on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.